Hi everybody, Bandicoot Commando here and welcome back to Marvel Rivals. Last time, I read the Season 2 comic here, the Hellfire Gala, where it basically detailed and explained how Emma Frost was able to get approval to open up the Hellfire Gala here on Krakoa. Little did everyone know, though, that Ultron would come in and crash the party. And Ultron's reasoning for doing so is because he had detected that someone was trying to erase him from the timeline. He wasn't quite sure who, but he knows that they were on Earth and saw Krakoa as the perfect means to attack. This led to events of Ultron being able to convert some of the heroes with his techno-organic virus, but he was able to successfully create a new body with the resurrection protocols and Cerebro. With his new body, Ultron took Cerebro with him and headed to Mars, or Akaro, where Krakoa's sister nation is. But in creating his new body, Ultron's old body was left behind, in which Tony would use to reboot and to create as a means of fighting back against Extron. We know the reason that we know part of the reason of the Hellfire Gala is that Emma Frost was willing to make a deal with Doom in order to find a way to heal Krakoa, because the chrono energies it absorbed thanks to the time stream entanglement have put it in serious pain. In doing so, well, the heroes were eventually able to find and counter and destroy Extron. Ultron then tried to get his revenge on Doom, but it turned out that it was a Doom bot, and that Doom was the one responsible for trying to erase Ultron because he had seen a vision where Ultron had successfully converted all of humanity into machinery. But little did Doom know is that when Extron was created, the timelines split, and because Doom chose to focus on Extron, well, it didn't completely take care of what he thought it would. However, the event ends on that Adam Warlock is able to hear and detect with his cosmic awareness that Null, god of symbiotes, primordial force of darkness, is coming back. Null is awakening, and that if they're going to stand a chance against him, they're going to need some primordial forces of themselves. And with the title From the Ashes, we know that the Phoenix Force would be one of them. So, with the serials here caught up on, I'm going to read the special editions today. So as of now, there are only 4 of them. And I don't think they're too long either, so I should be able to get this done in one video. So, we'll start with the Winter Celebration. This came out during the Jeff's Winter Wonderland event back in December, so... Seasons Beatings. Oh yeah, so a neat event that you can do with this is that as you did more of the game mode to unlock stuff, you can decorate the little pop-up here, but because I never really did get to finish it, it doesn't look too impressive. But maybe next time. Rocket hopped onto Groot's shoulder, ready to unleash a barrage of plasma blast at their next opponent. The unlikely duo had been partners for ages now, combining their impressive combat skills to effortlessly wipe out their enemies and collect their bounties. Things had changed after the time stream entanglement hit. Now they weren't just going up against the worst villains the universe had to offer. They were also facing off against their fellow heroes. or at least alternate versions of them from different dimensions. There was no worse feeling than trusted allies becoming rivals, but when the fate of the universe hangs in the balance, you don't get to pick the fight. The fight picks you. Only one more target left, Star-Lord said over the comm link. Once we finish this up, we get to celebrate a lot more than a victory. Rocket had almost forgotten that today was one of Quill's Earth holidays, a fancy winter party where people fill each other's socks with chunks of condensed carbon, or something like that. Yeah, Rocket responded with a smile, glancing over at his favorite floral colossus. I can't wait to decorate the tree again. I am Groot, Groot grumbled, noting how he was still finding shreds of tinsel on his limbs left over from last year's festivities. Okay, Rocket laughed. Maybe we'll skip that part and go straight to the presents. You're gonna love what I got ya, pal. It'll really come in handy in a crunch. Rocket instinctively leapt for cover as Groot's body unexpectedly shattered into splinters. The pair had become so distracted by the thought of the revelry to come that they had momentarily lost track of their final opponent. But their final opponent hadn't forgotten about them. Rocket turned to see a strange creature standing in front of him. A shark-like beast with 4 tiny legs. It held one of Groot's arms in his mouth and smiled a wide, toothy grin. That was my Flarkin partner, you dumb dolphin! Rocket yelled, unleashing a fury of plasma blast at the creature. The land shark easily dodged the blast and rushed toward Rocket. As it got closer, it opened its mighty jaws wide. Rocket shielded himself, wondering if he was about to become this beast's holiday meal. But he soon realized that the shark had simply dropped Groot's arm in front of him and was waiting eagerly, wagging his fin-tailed. As Rocket picked up the wooden limb, Groot's finger twitched, pointing off into the distance. Rocket shrugged and threw the arm as far as he could in that direction. The shark immediately gave chase. Before long, the happy little land shark had helped Rocket gather all of Groot's splintered limbs. Just like Rocket and Groot, the little guy didn't seem eager to fight his fellow heroes. He just wanted to play. Hey, Quill, Rocket said over the comm link. I think we might have one more guest for the holiday. Hope you made enough to eat. So yeah, these special edition stories, I don't know if they are canon to the overall lore to the game's story, but they are nice little fun, wholesome kind of things. They usually focus on more on the holidays and events like such. Next, we have the Spring Festival Special. This was during the Festivals and Friends. This was during the Chinese New Year, I believe. It's very impressive art here. At least I think it's Chinese New Year when this was like coming out. Beautiful, isn't it, buddy? Star-Lord asked as he joined a solitary figure on the balcony of the Wakandan royal palace. That endless field of stars up there? There's no place I'd rather call home. Peter Quill wasn't wrong. The intergalactic empire of Wakanda was truly a glorious sight to behold. Yet still, Lin Lai, the immortal Iron Fist, couldn't help but let out a sigh of dismay as he gazed at the celestial bodies glimmering above Burin T'Challa. Strange events at the time stream entanglement had swept these unlikely allies into an epic conflict that had dragged Lin light years, perhaps entire dimensions, away from his home on Earth and his adopted home in the fabled city of Kunlun. The heroes he had encountered along the way had embraced him as one of their own. but Lin still felt like an outsider, now more than ever. Even though the time stream was a mess, Lin still knew that it was almost the Spring Festival back in China. By now, lanterns would be hung and dragons would be dancing in the streets. Knowing that he would miss this beloved celebration weighed heavy on his heart. I get it, Star-Lord said, placing a hand on Lin's shoulder. I don't think I've ever felt as alone as I did on my first holiday away from Earth. But you've got friends here, and we're not about to let you miss out on all the fun. Before Lin could protest, Star-Lord led him through the palace to a workshop where Princess Shuri stood waiting. Wakanda is a nation steeped in tradition, Shuri said, but a true empire respects the traditions of all those who have helped it to make it stronger. What her royal Katniss is saying, Star-Lord interrupted, is that we're throwing our own little spring festival in your honor. I don't know what to say, Lin stammered. He hadn't realized that his allies were even aware of his customs, let alone that they would go out of their way to help him observe them. Say I didn't spend the last few days gathering intel about Chinese celebrations for nothing, the Black Widow said, entering the room to join her fellow heroes. Not at all, Lin replied. It would be my honor to share this special time of year with all of you. Then let the festivities begin, Shuri said, activating a hologram that depicted an arena clearly designed for sport rather than combat. Soon, the image morphed to show elaborate costumes, each one incorporating cultural influences that sent Lin's mind reeling back home. For a mere moment, his thoughts were no longer on the battle to save time and space, nor on his duty to protect Kunlun and the refugees in the 8th city. Instead, Lin simply felt the joy of the season and the friends who had helped bring it to him, all the way on the other side of the galaxy. So yeah, nice. Again, these are nice little wholesome stories. This one, Galactica's Cosmic Adventure. One Small Step. This was during Season 2, and at the time, I believe, yes, at the time, these were the only maps we had. Yigsgard, Wakanda, the Hydra base, Tokyo, New York, and I believe this one is also... I think this one's also Wakanda. I think. It's either the... Yeah, this one... Oh no, it's Clintar. It's Clintar. How silly of me. When you're like me, a cosmic entity with an expected lifespan of billions of years, time honestly isn't something you give a whole lot of thought to. At least not until it starts to unravel around you. It doesn't seem all that long ago, just last March, according to your human calendars, that your girl Galactica, that's me, first realized that something was going horribly wrong with the time stream. Entire dimensions had started collapsing into each other, and most of them weren't surviving the chrono chaos. The few that did weather the time storm, with a little cosmic intervention from yours truly, ended up being reborn into something all new and all different. I've been calling them chronoverses. Catchy, right? The year that's followed has been a blur. Heroes fighting heroes. Dooms fighting dooms. Vampires. Killer robots. It's been a wild ride. And while you, and like 30 million of your superpowered besties, have been working overtime to keep your home realities safe and to restore some order to the universe, I've been using the spare moments between battles to explore this strange new network of timelines. and what I found has been pretty crazy. Over the course of my journeys, I've uncovered a total treasure trove of bizarre artifacts scattered across these newly entangled chronoverses, each one more fascinating, and in some cases, more delicious than the last. But the one that's wowed me the most is this weird hexagonal bubble that seems to be made from pure time energy. At first, I thought it might make a tasty snack. After all, chronovium crystals are made from time energy too, and I've been munching on those to keep my insatiable hunger satisfied for a while now. But before I could try to wrap my gigantic jaws around the bubble, the craziest thing happened. I stuck one with my little I stuck one of my little Galactica bots inside of it, and 5 more identical versions came back out with it. I have no idea how this thing works. I may be all powerful, but I'm not all knowing. But my guess is that its unique shape is working like a chronal prism, fragmenting one timeline into 6. The effects aren't permanent, but they do last long enough for us to have a little fun. That's why I decided to temporarily set up the time bubble in Burin T'Challa, right at the heart of the intergalactic empire of Wakanda. As much as I've enjoyed watching you capture mission areas and escort vehicles, I figured you might be ready to mix things up a bit. So you're officially invited to my very own match, Clone Rumble. Like I said, I never really paid much attention to time before, but if the Chronoverse doesn't have much of it left, we might as well do everything we can to enjoy what we've got. May the best hero win. All of them. Galactica. So yes, this was the event for the Clone Rumbles. I was not a fan of that game mode. You could only choose from 2 heroes, and from there, you're just stuck with those 2 heroes on your side, and the other side could have different heroes to give them advantages. Now we have the current one here, the Hellfire Gala. The Hellfire Gala Special Edition, Night of the Year. So what makes this unique with the page here is that back when the Hellfire Gala event launched, you could choose to vote out of the several characters. Once you've earned enough votes, once you've earned 10 votes on a character, that character will serve as the page for this edition here. I decided to went with Bruce and Joe Fixit really because I did it mostly for humorous reasons. But the winner of the gala, I believe, is Emma Frost. And NetEase has said that when next year rolls around, Emma will have a special Hellfire Gala costume to reflect on it. Now, before I read it, let me get some water in me first. That's better. Bruce Banner and Hulk, the star of the gala. Not really. I wish they were. Betty Brant here, reporting for the Daily Bugle. Well, not reporting yet. I'm currently taking voice memos so I can remember all the crazy things going on tonight at the most unusual social gathering I've ever been sent to cover, the Hellfire Gala. From the moment I stepped through the flowered-covered gateway that whisked me across the globe, and possibly across time, to the island of Krakoa, things have only gotten stranger. And that's coming from a girl who calls Spider-Man a close personal friend. Some of the evening's highlights so far. The guest list is a who's who of the superhero set. There must be over 3 dozens of the world's greatest warriors gathered here, mingling over glasses of Krakoan punch. Most of them I recognize, including Spidey, and somehow the late great Captain America himself. But a few of them I've never seen before. Or at least I don't think I have. Maybe their fancy outfits are throwing me off. I got to pet a shark. Well, kind of a shark? Maybe? He had 4 legs and was walking around the party like he was the biggest celebrity in the place. Whatever he is, he's adorable. Emma Frost was a gracious enough host to give a tour of the island, providing guests a glimpse into Krakoa's past and present before they were sent to begin discussions about the future of human-mutant relationships. I found myself drawn in by the Green Lagoon, Krakoa's local watering hole. Its serene atmosphere was a lot more low-key than the gala and far closer to this reporter's style. As the tour continued, Ms. Frost talked about the recent changes that the island had undergone due to exposure to a substance called chronovium. Personally, I got distracted by the fact that one of the rooms had an actual dragon in it. It looked terribly sad, but when I tried to approach it, Miss Frost whisked me out of the room. I pushed for more info, but all she would tell me was that his name was Shogo, and that he missed his mother, who was lost to the time stream entanglement. Poor baby. I gotta say, when I first saw that dragon, I thought it was meant to be Lockheed, Kitty Pryde's, pet dragon. And because it's purple, again, I assumed it was Lockheed. But no, Shogo is a person. I believe, if I remember correctly, he's a mutant who has the ability to become a dragon-like creature. As the tour concluded, I saw some unusual plant-like creatures skittering about the jungles of Krakoa. It was almost as if the island had spawned miniature versions of itself. I tried to ask Ms. Frost about these sentient seedlings, but she quickly changed the topic. Dinner was about to be served. After 12 opulent courses, we were given a swag bag packed full of Krakoan skincare products and biopharmaceuticals. Attendees even got their own official X-Men insignia belt buckles. Now it's finally time for fireworks. Ms. Frost's Hellfire Trading Company is set to announce the star of the gala during the ceremony, whatever that is. But there's no doubt in this reporter's mind that this over-the-top evening will end with a bang. Oh no, something's wrong. One of the gateways just opened and someone is coming through. No, not someone. Lots of someones. I don't think this is part of the show. I gotta try and get somewhere safe. Now. But if I don't, and you happen to find this recording, pass it on to J. Jonah Jameson and tell him that Betty Brant said, shh, 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 shh. Well, we at least know how that turned out. If it weren't for Ultron butting in, it sounded like the Hellfire Gala is a fun place to go to. I do like how it's styled, like the way this one is styled. It's kind of styled like an actual magazine subscription thing you get, and like a news magazine thing, and it's just like, oh, who will be the star of the gala of this year, and, gala of 2025 sort of thing. So yeah. Right, there aren't any more special editions, obviously. I don't know if they're going to add one more before the season ends, because this was during Season 1, and then both this and this one were during Season 2. So there is a chance they could do one more for the Hellfire Gala, but I'm not entirely sure. But whenever a new one gets added, I'll add it to the list of things to read. Alrighty then, that will do for this episode of Marvel Rivals. Before I go, at least as I record this, there are 6 bundles that are available that you can buy. These are skins that were exclusive to events and other little doodads. So this one of Rocket, Groot, Venom, and Magic were part of the Jeff's Winter Wonderland event. I never got the chance to buy any of them, so I probably will try to buy maybe the Winter Wonderland stuff. If I have any leftover units, I might try to get the Captain America and Hawkeye one as well. But it's only for 6 days. Right, so yeah, that'll do for this episode of Marvel Rivals. There's only one last thing I want to do. Join me next time as I go over the... Whoop. Oh, it's going to do that anyway. As I go over the inventory items, it probably won't be too long of a video, and even with all the reading I can do on it, it'll probably just be a 15-minute video at the most. But then after that, that's it. That'll be all the content I can show for this game until more content is added. That's worth showing off to me. Oh yeah, and also the Future Foundation bundle is available as well. So, you got Sue in her Future Foundation outfit, and you got Ben in his. It kind of looks like an astronaut costume a bit. Also makes me wonder, does Johnny have one? I would assume he does, and they'll probably make it available later. Alrighty, so that is it, and I will see you guys next time.